Welcome everyone to the first Grand Prix of the season. Here we're at Bahrain, and before we can get into the Grand Prix, we have to do qualifying first. So let's see who can grab the first pole position in the Unlimited Racing 2D history. Lewis Hamilton's looking very quick so far. So is George Russell. And so is Charles Leclerc, really. It's going to be really close. Who can get that, that important pole position? Russell's got pace. Lando Norris even getting into the mix of things, and Max Verstappen. Lance Stroll doing better than I would have expected him to do, closer than to his teammate than I would have expected as well. Anyways, to take the first pole position in Unlimited Racing 2D history, George Russell it is. The man who probably should have won the preseason race last time, 2 corners away from winning the preseason round, gets his, well, I mean, I wouldn't say revenge, because obviously the race is more important, but, that's an important important factor for his confidence. George Russell pole, Charles Leclerc second, Lando Norris though, hats off to you, mate. P3, Max Verstappen again, another really good performance by him. P4, Lewis Hamilton, I think he would have wanted to do a little bit better. P5, 1 second off. P6, Yuki Tsunoda, really good performance from him in the Haas. P7, Lance Stroll. P8, Antonio Giovinazzi. P9, Fernando Alonso. P10, Valtteri Bottas. P11, Mick Schumacher. P12, Daniel Ricciardo. I think he would have wanted to do a little bit better. P13, Pierre Gasly. P14, Nicholas Latifi. P15, Robert Schwartzman. P16, Jack Aitken. P17, Nick De Vries. I think he would have, I expected a bit more from him. P17, Esteban Ocon. P18, Yuri Vips. And P19, Yuri Vips. And P20 and last, Guang Yu Zhou. Race day. I wonder who's going to win the inaugural Grand Prix. However, 5 lights are up. Lights out and away we go. Round here in Bahrain for the first Grand Prix of the season. Verstappen gets a good start. There looks to be a little bit of rain here in the desert on the track. George Russell, though, this is the start that he would have dreamt of. Max Verstappen getting a really good start. P2 now. Charles Leclerc. P3. Norris. P4. Tsunoda. P5. Lewis Hamilton, though. He's falling back. Now his former teammate Valtteri Bottas has got him. Hamilton's P7. Norris gets forced out wide. Stroll now P7. Wow, what a start. George Russell, this is what he would have dreamt of. 2 seconds away already. Not even finished the first lap. Not even into the, well, now we're in the final sector, but wow. He's got some serious pace. Max Verstappen under a little bit of pressure from Tsunoda, who gets past Valtteri Bottas. But obviously, this being a longer race, than the preseason Grand Prix. What can Norris do? He's just keeping Lewis Hamilton at bay so far. Doing a fairly good job, actually. Hamilton, though, I've never seen him struggle this hard. He's having to fight drivers such as Antonio Giovinazzi. No disrespect to Antonio Giovinazzi, who gets passed by Yuki Tsunoda. Wow, that was really sneaky from Yuki. But yeah, Lewis having to battle, Tsunoda, Giovinazzi, drivers who are fairly new to the sport. Giovinazzi down the inside. And makes the move stick. A really good battle between those two. Williams versus Haas for 7th and 9th as Ricciardo gets involved now, instead of 19th and 20th. Is Ricciardo going to go down the inside? He's taking the slipstream. No, obviously that Red Bull, upgrades on its downforce, on its grip. It needs a bit of upgrades. Lewis Hamilton is going to attempt going around the outside. A really good move from the multiple-time world champion. On Lando Norris, and that's P5. Lewis now beginning to make amends his troublesome start. However, George Russell, dominance. Complete dominance. However, there is a factor. George Russell on the soft tyres, as you can see, AWS is telling us Russell's tyres are beginning to go off now, beginning to lose some grip. Is he going to pit now? Yes, he is. Russell's in for his stop. Leclerc on the hard tyres, he stays out. Max Verstappen in. Valtteri Bottas in. Lewis Hamilton, he stays out as he's on the hard tyres. He's had a tricky start to the race. Mercedes, the only thing they can do now, go to plan B, try to stay out as long as possible, hope for some rain. Although saying that, it makes me sound kind of silly because, of course, we're in the desert of Bahrain. And hope for the best. Anyways, George Russell and Lando Norris. Don't forget, though, George Russell has pitted. But Russell now almost a full pit stop ahead of Lewis Hamilton. If this is how the season's going to be, Renault and George Russell, they're going to be in for an exciting one, to say the least. I think Charles Leclerc will be coming in now. Yes, he's in. Leclerc's in. Same as Lewis Hamilton, and George Russell retakes the lead. Second, though, Max Verstappen making up a few positions. Bottas, it looks like the undercut is fairly powerful. The undercut is fairly powerful as Giovinazzi gets the undercut on Lewis Hamilton. Wow. I mean, coming into this weekend, we kind of knew that Williams had a fairly strong car with an Antonio Giovinazzi who's, always developing in confidence. But I did not think he'd be overtaking Lewis Hamilton, whether it's on track or by undercut. Anyways, there's a much closer battle here on track. Valtteri Bottas, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Charles Leclerc battling for third, fourth, and fifth. Giovinazzi now is going down the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Easy for the Italian, to say the least. That Red Bull really does need some upgrades. And Lewis Hamilton now really making matters worse, as Hamilton makes a double overtake. Not only on Bottas, but on Giovinazzi. Wow. Okay, Giovinazzi, has more us to use throughout the rest of this lap. But what a move from Lewis. Max Verstappen now beginning to close the gap on George Russell. I think Russell now, all he has to do, just conserve his pitting now, same as Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc staying out for an extra lap. Who else is staying out? Lewis Hamilton staying out. Can he possibly, pose a threat to Charles Leclerc? This is an interesting race strategically, Lewis and Charles both started on the hard tires, I think, if memory serves me right. Charles, he pitted onto the hards. Lewis has pitted onto the softs. So this is going to be really interesting. There's really no point battling, though, with George Russell. A driver who's a full pit stop ahead, just going to be losing time. Hamilton's not going to make it easy for him, though. But Russell gets past. He eventually gets past. Charles Leclerc staying out for another lap. Looks like those hard tires, though, really doing him, justice. Doing him really well. But last time we had George Russell versus Charles Leclerc, it was on the last lap. 2 corners to go in the preseason race. This time we have Charles Leclerc versus George Russell. It's on the 8th lap in the Bahrain Grand Prix, first race of the season. And this time Russell gets his revenge. Although we're just over halfway, halfway in this Grand Prix. So anything still can happen. Race on. Further down, we have Lando Norris. I think he may be pitting now. So you see the drivers coming in. Charles Leclerc comes in now. He had a really good stint on those tires. Anyways, Lewis Hamilton versus Lando Norris. Let's watch this. Who's going to come out on top? Lando pits. It's going to be interesting to see where he comes out and whether this will be a good stop. In and out. P7. Comes out P7. Mick Schumacher behind. Yeah, he's got a fairly good gap to him. But now the driver's beginning to hit some back markers. Max Verstappen has already lapped Guan Yu Zhou, his teammate. Zhou still has a lot of potential though. He still has a while until he's anywhere near Max Verstappen's level. However, now this is an interesting battle. George Russell pits. So this is going to be for the provisional lead. Hamilton and Verstappen battling. Even Leclerc's getting involved. This is battle for the lead. Although these drivers, remember, they have to pit again. Their tires will not make until the end of the race. However, Russell, who's pitted he's made an extra pit stop. He's dominating so much that he's managed to make an extra pit stop. Okay, he's come out behind all three of them, but he's overtaken them all within the first 2 sectors of the track. This is some insane pace. Hamilton now going down the inside of Charles Leclerc. I think he's going to pit. Yeah, Hamilton's in now. So is Max Verstappen. Now, these drivers now, Hamilton and Verstappen pitting. This is going to be their third stop. Whether they'll make a fourth, I'm not sure. Who's going to come out ahead? Hamilton or Norris? Norris just about. P3 so far for Lando. Norris, who is on the soft tyres, so I think he may have to pit one more time. Hamilton on the hard tyres, a lap younger. So I'm not sure, but Hamilton, he doesn't want to make the overtakes in the pits. He wants to do it out on track. Show everyone they still got that talent. Down the inside he goes. Yes, just about sneaks through. I think Lando may be pitting now, but as the camera moves away, quickly, Norris wins back that position. Really good battling from the pair of them. I suspect this may be Norris's last pit stop of the Grand Prix. Is he going to come out in front of Giovinazzi? It's going to be close. Comes out behind Antonio Giovinazzi, P6. Valtteri Bottas has just been quite, minding his own business in P7. P8, Yuki Tsunoda. 9th, Daniel Ricciardo. P10, Mick Schumacher. P11, Fernando Alonso, who's currently in. So, Alonso P12 now with Nick De Vries P11. Nicholas Latifi, P13th, in. Gasly, 14th, who's about to get lapped by George Russell. 15th, we have 14th, Stroll. 15th, Latifi. 16th, Esteban Ocon. 17th, Robert Schwartzman. I expected better from him, I know he's a young driver, but still, at least top 15, I think. Yuri Vips, P18. P19, Jack Aitken and Guan Yu Zhou running at the back. George Russell getting into a lot of traffic. But this battle has been happening all race long. AWS are telling us that Hamilton's tyres are still in good shape, so I think he may be able to make his tyres last until the end of the race. 5 seconds to George Russell though, wow. That may not seem like a big gap, but trust me, on this miniature track, I guess you could say, 5 seconds, that's a fairly hefty gap, Anyways, as we look down now, battle for second and third between Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Hamilton getting into a bit of traffic as he tries to lap his teammate Lance Stroll. Will Stroll allow him? Yes. No, he's going to make it hard for him though. He's definitely going to make it very, very tricky. Yeah, as he finally gets past. Now, maybe this is to do with tactics, because now Lance Stroll, Lewis Hamilton's teammate, is beginning to hold up Charles Leclerc. Gets past him, but, those few seconds were crucial. But now, George Russell dominating this Grand Prix. The last lap, George Russell's tyres are gone. Surely not again. Surely not again. the team manager at Renault, he didn't sound too happy. Nas, he didn't sound too happy. Two corners to go, getting overtaken by Charles Leclerc. This time it's the season. There's a lot of back markers. George Russell, this is the final lap. Russell's practically led the whole race. He's dominated the weekend. Can he keep Lewis Hamilton behind? Russell has very little earth to use. Lewis Hamilton has a bit. Even Charles Leclerc is there. This is going to go down to the final corner. Lewis Hamilton, is he going to make the move? He makes the move. He makes the move on George Russell. His tyres are gone. Hamilton goes slightly deep in the corner. Charles Leclerc gets George Russell again. Lewis Hamilton, though, takes the Grand Prix victory in the maiden unlimited Formula Racing. But wow, that went down to the wire. Wow. After 12 laps, I did not see that happening. Wow. After the start Lewis Hamilton had, he managed to claw it back. And he's managed to do what Lewis Hamilton does best. Charles Leclerc, though, just about beating, George Russell and just behind Lewis Hamilton. But wow, how close did that get? This is going to be a crazy season to watch. Teams are going to want to upgrade their cars as fast as possible. I can tell you that. But wow, I've just got to wait a moment and let everything sink in, because what a Grand Prix that was. Lewis Hamilton, P1. Charles Leclerc, P2. George Russell, P3 after dominating most of that race. Max Verstappen, I think he'll take P4. Lando Norris, P5. That's alright, Daniel Ricciardo, after struggling in qualifying, really making up the positions in the race in P6. Yuki Tsunoda, P7. P8 being Antonio Giovinazzi. P9, Valtteri Bottas. P10, Nick De Vries. That's some really good points for Haas, I think, P11, Mick Schumacher. P12, Fernando Alonso. Still, warming up. I don't think he'll be at his best yet, but still a long season ahead. Pierre Gasly, P13. Nicholas Latifi, P14. P15 being Lance Stroll. P16th, Esteban Ocon. P17th, Robert Schwartzman. P18th, Jack Aitken. P19th, Yuri Vips. And last but not least, Guanyu Zhou in P20. The four, rookies at the bottom there. But wow, what a Grand Prix we have just witnessed. The drivers' standings will just remain the same, obviously. It's the first Grand Prix. Constructors-wise, how does that look? So AlphaTauri, they have, the lead. The constructors, Ferrari second. Renault, they're third. Red Bull fourth, 1 point behind Renault. Fifth, McLaren. Sixth, Haas. Wow, it's so tight though. Williams 7th, Racing Point, they're 8th. All of those points, in fact, coming from Max Verstappen. But look at how close it is. I know only one race has passed, but 8 points separating second to 8th. This is going to be a really good season. Mercedes-Benz 9th and Alfa Romeo 10th. They're really in a crisis, Alfa Romeo. Two young drivers, poorly developed cars, and the team manager, leaving with immediate effect, Everyone else, good luck to everyone, but especially good luck to Alfa Romeo for the upcoming season. But anyways, that was the first Grand Prix. Next Grand Prix, in a few days' time, we'll be at China, actually, I think. So, can't wait to see then. What a Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton's won the first Grand Prix of the season. But that does not tell the whole story. Thank you, and goodbye.